Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. We got a few minutes, want to go live. We're going to try to do this every day at 9 o'clock Pacific. So, hey, it is a great day to be a Dodger. How about the Dodgers winning the NL West again for the 11th time in the last 12 years? And I'm going to say this, it is always a great accomplishment to win your division. There's no doubt about it. There is a bigger goal than this. I mean, let's say if you win the NL West, I don't want to be like the fun police or anything, but there's a bigger goal to this. If you just win the NL West and then don't do anything in the playoffs, I think everybody in the organization would agree that's not the goal, no doubt about it. But I will go ahead and say this, that this is a good accomplishment. It's a big accomplishment. I think a lot of it is the fact that the Padres didn't play very well. The Giants didn't play very well. The D-backs got off to kind of a bad start and then tried to recover a little bit, but the Dodgers were just better than everybody else in the NL West, so give Los Angeles credit. And I'm going to say this too, with all the injuries, the last 11 out of 12, 2 out of the last 5 World Series, I'm going to make this statement very clear, and I don't mean to be polarizing. I don't mean to be disrespectful for anybody who disagrees with my opinion, because I want everybody to have their opinion. But I also want it to be based on reality and fact. Dave Roberts, you've got to give this guy a ton of credit. I thought it was just fantastic how he came out and in a very human way admitted that really the only other human being on earth that actually knows what he goes through being the Dodgers manager would be maybe an Aaron Boone with the New York Yankees, just because this is such a pressure cooker and people have such high expectations. You wonderful Dodgers dogs out there, the wonderful Dodgers nation out there, just have such great expectations for this organization. That's why an Andrew Friedman has to go get the guys that they went in the offseason. That's why you have to get, whenever it comes down to the Toronto Blue Jays or the Los Angeles Dodgers, it has to end up being the Dodgers getting the Shohei Ohtanis of the world, and that's because of you. All of you out there. So when Dave mentions, hey, there's really only one other person in the world that understands what I go through in terms of the enormity of what it's like to be the Los Angeles Dodgers manager, he is giving you guys and gals out there, the wonderful Dodgers dogs, the wonderful Dodgers fans, he is giving you a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous compliment. What he is saying is the fandom and the following for this Dodgers organization is so incredibly overwhelming that as a manager, it makes you feel like you have to uphold all of that awesomeness. I think Andrew Friedman would tell you the same thing. The fan base, the incredible following of this incredible organization makes it such to where not only is it his job, but beyond that, it is his duty to go put together the best roster and have the best results that you possibly can on the field. Now, in the game of baseball, here's why, you might say, okay, and I can't push back that, hey, the Dodgers definitely have the best talent. No doubt. I mean, they do. They have the best roster, despite even all the injuries. We've seen, what happens with the amount of money that you have to build a roster. Yes, you get the first top end. I'm an Oklahoma State fan, and Oklahoma State's always been able to put together like a pretty good first string. We've always had the Barry Sanders and the Thurman Thomases and the Mike Gundys and the David Thompsons and the Zach Robinsons and the Brandon Whedons and the Justin Blackmons. We've always had a pretty good front line of players. But what money and access to talent does for you, it creates depth. And we have seen the Dodgers how many years in a row now have to dive into that depth and really have that next man up mentality. And I think that's something that maybe goes a little bit underrated in terms of what the Dodgers have been able to do, is the next man up factor as far as the accomplishments they've had. And then I say that to say, hey, it's not easy to win even if you have the best players in this game, especially when you have injuries, because there's so many variables. Okay, and I'm going to say this point blank. The Padres, to me, underachieved. The Giants, to me, underachieved. The D-backs this year, in my opinion, they underachieved. Okay, I'm not going to hide from that fact, but I'm also going to say that this is a good accomplishment. I'm not going to say it's a great accomplishment for the Dodgers. I mean, you win the division. I'm gonna stop it right there to say it's a good accomplishment. I'm going to continue to hold the fire down to say this is the first step, okay? And I like the fact that I've said this many different times that the Dodgers had just enough pressure put on them to have to stay sharp, to keep that iron sharpen irons type of mentality towards this, meaning let the rest of the NL West and the closeness of the race, the fact that the D-backs were fighting for their lives coming into this series in terms of trying to get into the wild card, the Padres nipping at your heels, all those kind of situations. Hey, the last time you were the second to last time you played the Giants, they went into that Saturday night game. If they had won, they would have been in the wild card as far as they would have been in the wild card at that point. A couple of series ago, they could have overtaken the Dodgers. So that's the iron part of it. I think that continues to sharpen the iron of the Dodgers. I think you've had just the perfect mix of that. And then now, we said that we showed the other, we made the statement the other day that it's more important that you don't lose one of your starting pitchers and try to push them, or an Alex Vesia or somebody like that, trying to throw them on back-to-back days. You can more afford to lose that game than you can those people. So you've had a good mix between the iron sharpens iron part of the NL West versus being able to maybe give some guys some rest. And now I think this weekend you can squarely do that. This is squarely a spring training mentality for the next 3 games. So what do you have to get accomplished? I think one is you need to give some rest to some guys. Okay, so let's back up. Okay, let's back up all the way to the 11 out of the 12 NL West championships. That's a lot of extra baseball that these guys who are a little bit older, I mean, they would be the first ones to tell you this is the oldest roster in Major League Baseball. So you have a very old, very experienced roster that has played a lot more games than any other organization has done. So a guy like Mookie Betts, a guy like Freddie Freeman, getting ready to be Shohei Ohtani, but even like a Will Smith, a Max Muncy, guys like that who have been in the organization for multiple years, they have played a lot of extra games. So those guys, of course, Max Muncy doesn't need the rest. What Max Muncy needs, not rest, he needs reps, because we need to get his stick going and back into the shape of things. So this weekend needs to be give the guys the recharge. Let them recharge their batteries to the point where they can come back and ready to go for the wild card series. So that's number one. Get the veteran guys that need the recharge. Give them that, no doubt. And then I think this is the weekend where you can audition the bullpen a little bit. Roki Sasaki, Will Klein. I don't think you probably move one of your starters to the bullpen at this particular stage. I think the Dodgers had to do that the other night with Clayton Kershaw, because I mentioned in that game, and I really think that was, once the Dodgers won that game, I think that took the starch out of the D-backs. That I think was kind of the clincher for that. I know yesterday was the official clincher, but I do think that the game on Wednesday, the extra inning, 11-inning game, I think that was probably the one that got the Dodgers over the top. And so Dave managed that like it was a playoff game for the most part. And so you saw Clayton Kershaw come in relief. So Dodgers placed Kirby Yates on the 15-day injury list. No surprises there. He has been, I think probably name number one, that the big hot names have been Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott, and Blake Trinan. I've been consistent with, I just don't see any world where Tanner Scott or Blake Trinan is left off of the playoff roster. I just don't see that. I just think there's too much trust in Blake Trinan. I think there's too much time invested in Tanner Scott to try to get him going again. So I think that's interesting that, that's probably a smoke and mirror move there with Kirby Yates to, moving forward. Roki Sasaki looked absolutely fantastic. So number one, the first thing you need to do with the 3 games this weekend is you need to audition Roki Sasaki at least one more time, if not twice. Roki Sasaki is hitting 100 miles an hour. The splitter looks good. The sinker is moving. It is a different Roki Sasaki than what we saw at the beginning of this year. It is squarely a version of Roki Sasaki that could be a closer. It's a version of Roki Sasaki that could be the answer at the back of the bullpen. Now, is it guaranteed that's going to happen? Absolutely not. We're looking at basically 3 good outings is what we're looking at, that we're basing any and all of our evaluation for the future possibilities. The 2 good outings at the end of his rehab with AAA Oklahoma City, then his last good outing, the first outing back with Los Angeles. That's it. That's the entire track record that we're looking at here with Roki Sasaki to bring that much hope into the equation. Will Klein, hey, I asked him point blank if would it be fair if, his fastball, I'm not going to lie, Will Klein's fastball is, I think you could probably categorize it in terms of the way that the metrics play out on his fastball as elite. When you look at the carry on it, the spin rate, the velocity, the locations of the zone that he uses it, I think that's a situation to where, you could really look at that pitch as saying, hey, that's at least, let's at least put it this way, upper echelon. I think his fastball is an upper echelon pitch. So my question would be for Will Klein, do you trust the mentality? He doesn't have a whole lot of major league experience. Do you trust the fact that in a big moment, he will trust himself? And do you trust him? This is the Los Angeles Dodgers. This isn't the Kansas City Royals trying to shock the world. This is the Los Angeles Dodgers with people saying, hey, you got Shohei Ohtani, you got Mookie Betts, you got Clayton Kershaw, you got Freddie Freeman. You're supposed to win the World Series. So do you trust a Will Klein like that? I would trust him in an underdog role. I would trust him in a role where you say, hey, we got nothing else to lose. Go throw that big fastball, go trust it, and let's see what we got. I would definitely trust him in that scenario, but do you trust him in a scenario with a Los Angeles Dodgers uniform on, with the game on the line, like Ryan Brazier did to start the bullpen game in the wild card division, in the wild card, we're in the playoff series, I should say, against the Padres last year? Do you trust Will Klein? I know you've liked what you've seen. I know the fastball is good. And I asked him point blank, do you trust it? Would it be fair to say you haven't trusted your fastball maybe as much as you should have? He said, yeah, maybe in the past. And he gave a pretty confident answer there. So I think he's in a pretty good mental space right now. Will Klein is. He spent quite a bit of time AAA Oklahoma City just kind of throwing back into all of the different parts of his mix. But I think what you will see, I think the part of Will Klein that you will see that I saw in the answer that he gave would be that if it came down to just the net crunching time, right, if it came down to the rubber meeting the road in a big spot, I think he has learned that even at the major league level, because his answer was, well, you go to the major leagues and you have the greatest players in the world, so you automatically think, well, they can hit fastball, so I need to do something else, right? I think he is at the very least, he has learned, Will Klein, that in those moments, he can trust his fastball and he can win or lose with that. So the biggest question with him is it's not the amount of stuff that he has. The stuff plus stuff is great. I know Dodgers fans love it. I know even the Dodgers organization, they love the big stuff. Okay, great. That's all great. But it's still, it comes down to the combination of the stuff plus versus how much do you trust him? Michael Kopech, Will Klein are the perfect examples of that. I think you could also throw Roki Sasaki in that category, although I think I would trust Roki Sasaki's mentality. I think what he had to deal with going back to his home country to start this season, I think that's the most amount of pressure he will ever feel. I think he's going to see this year as just the first year of a long major league career. So I think he's going to be able to put those types of situations in perspective, whereas for a Will Klein type or a Michael Kopech, this might feel like their one and only chance, which would add to the pressure equation for them. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the Dodgers line up their starting pitching. This 3-game series, I think, gives them the ability to do that. And I think the Dodgers are coming into the playoffs on a roll to where I think, they're not playing the best baseball they possibly could. but they are playing good enough baseball to where if they roll through the playoffs playing like they do right now, I think that you're going to have some just it's going to be very similar to what the Arizona Diamondbacks series was, right? So you lose the first game in a crazy game, and then the second game you win the game on a crazy game. Third game, I think you had broken the will of the D-backs. Plus, once you got a 4-run lead against Yamamoto, they were like, man, this is a pretty tough ask to come back from this. So I think, so it looks like you won 2 out of 3. It ended up looking a lot easier than it actually was. If you continue to play the way that you are right now, where the offense is, giving you 4 or 5 runs a game, then occasionally, like yesterday, you have an explosion, then you're going to, with each series, you're going to have 2 or 3 games that are going to come down to winning baseball plays, maybe an extra inning, maybe, down the stretch, a late inning type of game. And if you win those, you're going to win the series. And if you lose those, you're going to lose the series. Having said that, there is a better version of this Dodgers team out there. And if you start playing offense like you did yesterday, and what I mean by that is continue to add on. Don't sit on the 4-run lead. That was one of my comments that I made on yesterday's show about this Dodgers team was part of the reason why the bullpen has given up all these leads is because the offense has stopped scoring after about the 4th or 5th inning, and you're trying to hold on to the lead instead of you're being reactive instead of proactive, instead of proactively trying to add to that lead and putting the game away and putting it at a reach to where the opponent, even if you have a bad inning from a reliever, the game is still over. That's what the Dodgers did yesterday. And also, too, if you notice in games like yesterday, whenever you get up by 7 or 8 runs, what happens to the other team's offense is they just completely stop scoring because they stop doing all of the winning baseball type things that would start rallies. So you start going into station by station mentalities like, hey, we got to get on. We're not going to get over. We just got to go base by base by base. And when you're trying to go base by base by base against Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's not going to give you any free baseball to begin with, and then you got to get, say, 8 or 9 hits to score 3 or 4 runs, these guys are smart. They're in the dugout going, hey, that ain't going to happen. So what ends up happening is it's called breaking your will. That day they go, hey, yeah, this ain't happening. So what you end up happening is whenever you actually extend that lead into 7 or 8 runs instead of 4, the other team just kind of gives in. And then the next thing you know, it's the 7th inning and they haven't even scored yet. And now it's a much easier day for your bullpen. So if you do those kinds of things, then the Dodgers have the ability to go through the playoffs and be in control of everything that they want to do. Because the starting pitchers, if they continue to do what they've been doing, they are going to give you a very, very, very good chance in the first at least 6 innings, maybe more than that as the playoffs go on, to build a lead. And so then once you build a lead, like we've seen the Dodgers do, even if you get behind in the first inning, then the question is going to be in the middle innings, can you build on that lead? And I think part of that is how lengthy is your lineup going to be? Is both the top, the middle, and the bottom of the lineup, are they all going to produce? If you have just the top of the lineup, you're going to be able to build a lead, but then you're going to have to hold on to it. If it's the top and the middle of the lineup, then you're probably going to be pretty comfortable. If it's the top, middle, and bottom of your lineup, then you're going to go ahead and kick the opponent's ass, and I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the Phillies. I don't care if it's the Mets. I don't care if it's Padres or the Brewers. If the top, middle, and bottom of this lineup perform for the Dodgers like they're capable of, there will be no team that can get in the way of this Dodgers team, because if the starting pitching continues to do what it does, because they are going to give this team a good enough start to where if the top, middle, and bottom of this lineup perform the way they're capable of, they are going to build a lead in a game. And if the lead is big enough to where you have a guy that it's just almost impossible to string 5 or 6 hits together to score, put up a 3 spot, that is demoralizing for the other team. Then they start thinking about the next day, and that's, again, whenever you get into the 8-0 type of scores. So it is a super exciting part of the year, not just because it's the playoffs, not just because football has started, not just because, you're to that part where it's really the third part of your season. You had 3 parts to a season. You have spring training, you have the regular season, and then you have the postseason. So you're starting that final part of your season, that postseason. So it's not just exciting that you're turning the page to that third part of your season. It's also because this team is shaping up to put itself in a position to be, in my opinion, the best suited team to win the World Series. If not the Dodgers, who? Every team, we follow the Dodgers every day. So we know every single wart that this Dodgers team have. We know every single bad decision Dave Roberts makes, okay? We know every single thing that this Dodgers team is consistently or inconsistently not good at. You know what we don't know is all the other teams' warts, because we don't follow the other teams. The Milwaukee Brewers, they've had warts too. The Philadelphia Phillies, they've had warts too. The Mets, the Padres, whoever it might be that makes the playoffs. We see the D-backs warts, right? Okay, so the question becomes is, can your warts become, your weak link? Can your weak links become stronger than the opponent's weak links? Because I think the Dodgers' strong links, their most powerful links, are better than everybody else's most powerful links. And so if the Dodgers can continue to have, which would be starting pitching, your overall, your Hall of Fame 3 at the top of the lineup, the ability of the middle of the lineup to produce, the ability of the bottom of the lineup like a Tommy Edman, even maybe a Ben Rortvedt who's hit very well with the Dodgers since he's come here, and Andy Pages. I think the Dodgers have the ability to have the strongest weakest link and also the strongest strong link as well. And so for that factor, that's why I continue to say this is a very exciting period for the Dodgers, because I just think so I'm making a short story long to say I think this is winning a World Series or not is in the Dodgers' hands. I think if you're the Padres or you're the Mets or even the Phillies or the Brewers, I think the Dodgers are better than all those teams, and they are going to have a break or two to win. Even if you have the most amount of talent, typically speaking, the ball to win a championship, it's so hard to win a championship. Even if you are the best team, you still have to have some fortunate breaks. But I think the Dodgers, more so than any other team, their destiny is in their own hands. In other words, if they do what they are supposed to do in terms of execution, they will win the games they are supposed to win back-to-back World Series for the first time in 25 years. How exciting is that? Hey, you might push back against that, but that's just kind of where I'm at. I am super positive about that, and that dates all the way back to even some of the most frustrating games. And so for that, I am super excited. You have all of the starters that can turn into relievers. You got Roki Sasaki, you've got Alex Vesia, you got Anthony Bonda, you got Justin Robleski, you got Jack Dreyer. And then I think the biggest questions are what's going to happen with Sasaki, what's going to happen with Will Klein, and then what do you do with Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, and Michael Kopech? Those are the answers that I think you got to find this weekend. And then keep in mind, you can change your mind from one series to the next based on the different matchups. I also think there's a good possibility that the Dodgers carry 14 position players and only 12 pitchers, because if you carry 12 pitchers, you actually have 13 on your roster because one of those players is Shohei Ohtani. So don't be surprised if the Dodgers carry, both Ben Rortvedt, obviously. If we'll say Will Smith gets healthy, don't be surprised if the Dodgers carry Will Smith, Ben Rortvedt, and Dalton Rushing, because I think the Dodgers, probably likely would carry a 14th position player, because, again, it's a 3-game series. Now, that'll change whenever you go into the 5 and 7 game series, but in the 3-game wild card series, it would not be surprising at all to see the Dodgers carry 3 catchers if Will Smith is healthy, carry that 14th position player, because, again, you're not going to need as many of your pitchers because it's a 3-game series, and then also Shohei Ohtani gives you that 13th pitcher. So I think that's a possibility as well. So what do you want to see? Leave your comment here. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We have a wonderful crowd, again, logged on into Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Always super humbled by the awesome support that you guys, all guys and gals out there, always give this channel and everything that we try to do here. So what are you excited about? What do you want to see coming out of this weekend? Is there anything offensively? So that brings, is there anything defensively? I think we're all in agreement. There are some answers to be had as far as the bullpen goes. But let me get into this, and you can disagree with this all you want. Getting back into my Dave Roberts talk just a minute ago, this guy has been a truly great manager. He has just this year, he sent very tough messages like, hey, you got to produce when I give you the ball, that kind of thing. He's also been very supportive. He's the guy that knows how to manage egos. And yeah, hey, there's going to be decisions that we second guess every single day. That's just the nature of the beast. First of all, being a manager, and then also being the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers. But even the fact that, hey, yes, he's had elite talent, no doubt about it, but so does every successful manager. I mean, you don't think Joe Torre didn't have elite talent with the New York Yankees? You don't, Casey Stengel, when he had elite talent, he won, and then when he didn't with the Mets, he set records for losing, right? So the elite talent part of things, that's not really even a statement to make against Dave. That's not something you can say, well, yeah, he's not a good manager because he's had elite talent. Every manager has to have elite talent to be good. I'm going to say this point blank, and I'm going to say this, I hope I don't lose anybody as far as respect or anybody's subscription. Dave Roberts is a Hall of Fame manager. He has done one hell of a job. He deserves the respect and the honor, and this goes whether the Dodgers win in the playoffs or not. The job that he's done in the last two regular seasons, the job that he did to win the World Series. This year, the fact the Dodgers have won the division so many times, he's won 40% of the last two World Series, and to say, hey, if the Dodgers don't win the World Series this year, then he's not a good manager. Come on, man. Teams don't go back to back. They haven't. It's been 25 years since that's happened. That would be if the Dodgers win the World Series this year and go back-to-back for the first time in 25 years with all of the injuries combined with all of the guys like Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, and the rest of the guys, Mookie Betts for the most part offensively. I think we can agree that Freddie Freeman's been injured for most of the year. Will Smith is injured at the moment. Max Muncy's had injuries. Teo Hernandez dealing with all of those sandwiches that he's had. To win the World Series last year, to win 2 out of the last 5, regardless of what happens at the finish of this year, Dave Roberts has done an amazing, amazing, amazing job for this club. And I think you guys know me well enough. Yes, I get close to these guys. I like to defend these guys. I like to defend everybody. Okay, but just go back and get the receipts of all of our different shows. I am not scared to second guess, criticize, or whatever it may be, any particular move, or just discuss and say, let's not say criticize, let's say disagree. That's not in my DNA. If I disagree with something, I'm going to say it. So that's the perspective I come from. And so I think whenever you look at somebody's evaluation, if they're willing to disagree on one side and then also praise on the other, I think that's a fairly objective viewpoint to take into consideration. And so, having said that, I am giving major props to Dave Roberts. I want to show a lot of appreciation to Dave Roberts. I want to show him the love that he has coming for him. And I'm going to say this, for the fans out there, for those of you who think, hey, he's too analytical, for those of you who think that he doesn't do a good job with this or that or this or that, you might actually be 100% correct in everything you're saying. I don't want to tell you you're wrong about any particular given viewpoint, but I will say that I totally disagree with you in an overall big picture perspective. If you want to tell me that you don't think Dave Roberts is a good manager, or I will go further than that, if you don't want to admit that Dave Roberts is a great manager, that I am going to tell you it is my opinion that you are wrong. Okay. And again, I don't want to lose subscribers. I don't want to piss anybody off. I don't want to do any of that. All I'm doing right now is giving you my opinion, and I am backing that up with hardcore data that he has been a Hall of Fame manager in terms of results. And then on top of that, he's been a Hall of Fame ambassador for this organization. He is absolutely a first-class human being. You could not have a better human being. So Dave Roberts is probably a better human than he is manager on top of the Hall of Fame results he's gotten. So anybody that is not on that board right there, I'm going to disagree with them. But again, that's what makes things great, is everybody has their own opinion. We respect your opinions. That's just mine. And again, if you disagree with that, don't get so angry that you unsubscribe or think I'm a dumbass or whatever it may be. Just, hey, if you want to give me statistics or whatever, let's disagree and let's have a civil conversation about it, and let's go from there. So I wanted to make sure and be very clear that I gave the props to Dave Roberts, the love to Dave Roberts, the appreciation that I have, because on my pissant level and the jobs that I've had, doing the same things he's doing, but on a pissant level, I can tell you that there's a lot more that goes into it than we fans really actually know. And I can tell you just how much pressure he's under and how much he internalizes that and how much he puts that into every single decision he makes. He shows back the respect for the job, the enormous job that he has every day that he shows up. Also, to the front office, congratulations. I'm going to say it again. I wish you would have went and been aggressive and traded whoever you needed to trade for a back-end bullpen arm. I'm going to say this point blank. I've been saying this since the trade deadline. So this isn't second guessing. That is first guessing. I'm going to say this point blank. I think people that are on my side have been proved right to this point, that it still stands. It's still the position that it has not been figured out yet. The back end of your bullpen, the closer. I think if you would have went and got a closer, I think you would be entering the playoffs with everybody in baseball thinking the Dodgers are invincible. If you would have done that. So let me say this, okay? I understand the philosophy that it is too expensive at the trade deadline. You spent all this money in the offseason because the market is less expensive in the offseason. I get it, okay? Here's what I would ask in the future. Evaluate it. Now, the season's not over. You might still win the World Series, and you might get away with it. But I'm going to tell you this, even if the Dodgers win the World Series, I'm still going to be of the belief that the proof is there that it was not the right decision to bypass the trade deadline. Brock Stewart and Alex Call were not enough. Alex Call maybe, but Brock Stewart was not enough to help this bullpen. So regardless of whether the Dodgers win the World Series or not, I would say moving forward, like a couple of years ago, the Dodgers front office evaluated, well, with this new wild card, is it feasible to make your living at the trade deadline? And they came up with the conclusion that it's not. So they started doing all their heavy lifting in the offseason. Now, I know last year they got Flaherty and Edman and Kopech and those guys, and it greatly helped. But that was because you dealt with a lot of injuries they didn't foresee coming. Okay, so once they put the new wild card in, the Dodgers front office made a conscious effort. Let's stay away from the trade deadline. Let's do all of our work in the offseason. And I totally agree, totally agree with that philosophy. But I think it needs to be not black and white. I think it needs to be just, kind of a model of suggestion as to how you do business. But whenever you get into a scenario to where you have such a glaring weakness that everybody could see, I think there are times to where you're going to have to, not completely ditch that philosophy, but at least that can't be a philosophy that gets in the way because it's so hard fast that you don't actually fix the problems that are on the roster in front of you. So the front office is awesome. I appreciate all the NL West divisions titles. I appreciate the 2 World Series. Absolute best front office. I still think the Dodgers are the best team in baseball, but I think if you would have went and got a closer or a high leverage guy at the back end of this thing, I think it would have been a lot more black and white that it would have given this Dodgers team a much larger margin for error. And I will say this, especially when you're talking about a Johan Duran or a Griffin Jacks or whoever, or a Mason Miller. These aren't just dudes, okay? You're not just giving away a Josue De Paula or a Zaire Hope or whoever it may have been just for a dude. You're going and getting an all-star caliber major leaguer, and in my opinion, all-star caliber major leaguers are worth any prospect that has never played a game of Major League Baseball. I am always going to take that major leaguer over a minor leaguer. I don't care how good they are. I don't care if every 10 years you do have a Yordan Alvarez situation. Always. Now, if you're talking about just going and getting a dude that's hitting 220 or whatever, that's a different scenario. But when you're talking and going and getting an elite, when you have the chance to go get an elite baseball player, and all you have to do is give up guys who are in high A or even double A or even triple A, that's always a no-brainer in my situation, because let me explain this to you. This Dodgers front office is elite, and two of the things that they're most elite at is identifying talent and bringing in talent. So talent identification and then development. So no matter who you give away in your farm system, the Dodgers are going to do just like they did with Brian Hudson, where you go get somebody that nobody wanted in Brian Hudson, you turn him around for a Justin Chambers, right? I mean, you're going to see that. You're going to take a Michael Busch, you're going to turn him around for a Jackson Ferris and a Zaire Hope. And then you're going to draft and you're going to get guys in and develop them that are going to turn into Emmett Sheehan, who was drafted in the 7th round. You know, Gavin Stone was 5th round. Kyle Hurt came over in a trade, right? So did Nick Frasso, guys like that. So in no way ever, as long as this front office it stays intact, in no way, shape, or form is this Dodgers farm system ever going to be sucked dry, ever. They're going to replenish it like that because they are that good at identifying talent and developing it. So if we ever get in a scenario like we did at the trade deadline this year, where you are like 1 or 2 pieces away and you have elite pieces out there, but it would be very expensive to go get them, go do it. Bet on yourself. And when I say bet on yourself, like baseball players always have to do, betting on yourself would mean, yeah, it's going to hurt to give up whoever the prospects are we're giving up. But bet on yourself that your system, and you in particular, your scouts and all of your managers and the guys that develop these guys are so elite that you will replenish all of that talent, go and win a World Series, and then everybody's happy. So I just got on a rant there. I kind of got up on a preach there, but that's okay. I just kind of wanted to get that out. I wanted this to be first guessing and not second guessing like it's been the entire time. And again, that's not a criticism. That's just me, talking about one particular situation that I hope in the future the Dodgers look at a little bit differently. So you can never tell when a minor trade will yield major results, like Ben Rortvedt. There you go. That's absolutely correct. Ben Rortvedt turned out to be absolutely huge. We all just thought, hey, it was assumed Hunter Fiducia was the better catcher in the trade, and that really kind of the trade was, the Paul Gervais, who made it up before Ben Rortvedt for Hunter Fiducia. So, hey, and here's another one. Brian Hudson. You get the Milwaukee Brewers, they trade away Justin Chambers. Brian Hudson was simply fantastic for them for a long time. So, yeah, no, you never know when that, and I will take the established, especially when they're an elite major leaguer, and I know you're going to say, hey, it's the bullpen, it's volatile. The elite guys don't always have to be. I will always take that guy over anybody in the minor leagues any day. And then plus all these, the Dodgers have a logjam in the minor leagues. So whenever you trade a guy, it actually gives them a better opportunity. So I think it's the best of all worlds for everybody. And so, again, I'm going to end that rant. I'm going to get back to the celebration of the Dodgers winning. Again, I'm not necessarily excited about the Dodgers winning the NL West, but I am appreciative of it. And again, I'm not trying to be the fun police here, but my expectations are so high that winning the NL West, okay, I appreciate that. It's a good, with all the injuries, with all the people who haven't performed, and I appreciate that, it's a lot better winning it than it isn't, but there's a lot more to go. And so, moving forward, there's a lot of fun to be had here. So, the way that I would say that is, I would probably, if I was Dave, I would say, hey, definitely enjoy tonight. Go drink your champagne. You're going to have a hangover in the morning. Tomorrow is going to be who gives a rat's ass if we win tomorrow's game. We need to accomplish, the games inside the game tomorrow. So I would probably give these guys last night and then today, and then probably starting Saturday, it would be back to, okay, we got to start, one thing that has allowed us to win this NL West this year, as we've mentioned it already in this show, iron sharpens iron. Let's get back into the iron sharpening practice. Let's get back into that routine, I should say, probably on Saturday to get things going for the immediate future. So today, for me, today is still all about celebration. It's all about appreciation. It's all about the just awesomeness and excellence that this Dodgers organization absolutely has been. So Elisheva Jones, kudos to Dave Roberts. Craig Osterberg, give Ohtani the day off today. Give starters 3 innings Saturday and Sunday to keep sharp. That's what I'm talking about right there. You got to celebrate. You got to enjoy. Hey, you don't want to lose, the enjoyment along the way. You got to stop and identify. It's like I always ask these guys when they make the major leagues, were you savvy enough to stop and take it in for a minute? It's very important to do that. It's very important to stop and take in the fact that winning the NL West is a big deal. It's very important to stop and appreciate that, celebrate that, and enjoy that. And then, like Craig is saying, come about Saturday and Sunday, start getting back into sharpening your iron. That's exactly what's up. Gregory, thanks you so much for joining. Hey, Chris Faubourg, New York Mets, I think we stand a better chance to sweep them. Dave Roberts has the best win-loss percentage of all time in the Major League since 1900. That is from Elisheva Jones. CNAB, the Cleveland Indians have overachieved. Milwaukee Brewers have overachieved. The Dodgers, in some ways, have underachieved. In other ways, have overachieved. Again, my opinion, the Dodgers have the fate in their own hands more than anybody else, because if they just do what they are capable of doing, they will not get beat. That's the opinion I have, and I will not think any differently until I see something else happen there. Eric Flores, when does Roki go again? I think he goes again today, and I think you maybe even see if he can go back-to-back just to see, what you have there. So the Dodgers will put a map together for him, and we'll see how that goes. Super exciting. Of course, it's not going to be a pressurized situation, so I think going into the playoffs with a Roki Sasaki, as good as he was the other night, as good as he was in his last 2 rehabs, it's a big leap of faith. I mean, it's a big chance to take. But again, I'm going to take you back to the argument. The Dodgers were not aggressive at the trade deadline. They did not go get Johan Duran or somebody like that because they didn't want to give up their prospects. And so now, instead of having a guarantee like that, which nobody's a guarantee, we saw Johan Duran give up a save against the Dodgers, right? Nobody's a guarantee, but more of a guarantee. Instead of having the biggest guarantee you could have, now, although Roki Sasaki has looked good, you're having to take a gigantic leap of faith, like with somebody like him or a Will Klein. That's the position you're in. But hey, it's next man up. It's been that way all year. Roki was all smiles after his first appearance of the pen. No doubt you could see Shohei Ohtani enjoying it. It's exciting, but again, I still think as good as Roki has looked, it's a leap of faith. Tony Forkis, good morning, Casey. Who do you start in game 1? I would start Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, I definitely would start Shohei Ohtani too. And here's the biggest reason why, Tony. So here's actually the argument against that. Let me give you the argument against that. So if you want to use Shohei Ohtani as your closer, I think it would be easier to close Shohei Ohtani, say, in game 1 and then bring him back in game 3 to start. So if you start Shohei Ohtani in game 1 and he throws, say, 6 innings, then I think using him as a closer is out. So if you plan on using Shohei Ohtani as your closer, then to me, he is a game 3 starter, because then that gives you game 1, 2, that gives you at least game 1 for him to be the closer, maybe game 2, and then you can go from, like for instance, let's say that he comes in and he closes out game 1. Then it's game 2, and you have a 4-1 lead in the bottom of the ninth inning, I wouldn't hesitate to throw him out there as the closer in game 2, and now you've used him twice as a closer, never even had to use him as a starter. So if you use him in game 1, then I think using him as a closer is out the window. So I think you have the possibility of using him in both roles the longer you wait to start him. And I think you have the ability to do that because Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he would probably have to throw one of the later games. But I think I would trust a Tyler Glass now. I would trust a Blake Snell. I would trust anybody in that situation to be just as good as Shohei Ohtani and to be able to put the team in position to win that game. So that's an interesting decision. I think I probably would go with somebody else in game 1 just to open up the opportunity for Shohei Ohtani to be the closer if you needed to. But hey, if you want to push back against that, I'm not really. If the Dodgers want to come out and say he's a game 1 starter, I'm going to be great with that too. I think we're just kind of splitting hairs with that. You're talking about great versus great versus great. So my point is, if everybody's great, then why not make it to where you can give Shohei Ohtani the most diverse role possible that he could have. Give him the most amount of possibilities. Okay, so, and CNAV saying Shohei Ohtani's in line to start game 1, he thinks. So, hey, if that happens, I'm great with that too. James Donlin, thank you, Coach. You were awesome. No doubt. I appreciate that so much. Vic Banos, number 34 forever. What a crowd we have. Good morning, Coach. Will Klein have stuff? Will Klein has the stuff to be the version of Michael Kopech from. That's a great Hey, that's a great comparison. How about Will Klein being the new Michael Kopech of this year? Will Klein, trust your fastball. It's good enough. It metrically will get hitters out, even if they know it's coming. No doubt about that. So, see now, the Arizona series when Ohtani, Snell, Yamamoto. So that's kind of how CNAV is lining up the 3 starters. Tony Forkish, I have a feeling Dalton Rushing is going to make a huge impact. Let's hope. He looked a lot more comfortable. He just needs consistent playing time for him to reach. He has so much pressure on him. It's a tough deal when you're not getting consistent playing time. Elishiba Jones, I hope Ben Rortvedt gets the opportunity to contribute in the Dodgers postseason. That goes back to carrying 14 position players. If Will Smith is healthy, I want both Ben Rortvedt and Dalton Rushing on the roster. That's your 14th position player. You still have 13 pitchers because even though you have 12 listed, Shohei Ohtani is your 13th pitcher. Hey, CNAB, as a coach, I'm sure Casey left a shoe in a few butts. No nonsense approach. Yeah, I just was very honest. Like, guys, if you can't handle honesty, like if you can't handle blunt honesty, okay, if I have to constantly throw smoke up your ass all the time to develop your confidence, then how are you going to handle the big pressures of a game or life or whatever it may be coming forth? So if you can't handle me being honest with at least with what my opinion is, then I don't think you can handle the pressures of the game anyways. And then if you don't like what I'm saying, my point to that would be then prove my dumb ass wrong, right? Prove me wrong. Go out there and prove that I'm wrong, which is best for everybody. So, yeah. Hey, thank you for that comment, CNAB. That's funny right there. Tark the Shark, hopefully no bullpen games during the playoffs. Yeah, I don't think you're going to have to. I think you're going to have piggyback games, not bullpen games. Roki looked like he did. And the WB, that's a great, there's another one, the World Baseball Classic. Not just going back to Japan, the World Baseball Classic, he looked very good there too. So that's a great comment there, Tony. CNAV, Robo, Klein, and Vesia in the 8th and 9th innings. And as I go down to the bottom of this chat, Klein has better stuff than Kopech. His curve keeps hitters honest and not sitting dead red. Great point there, CNAV. No doubt about that. Shelly Lawrence, I don't think it should be Yoshi in game 1. And in CNAB, it's nice to have the World Classic Series at home. The Wild Card Series at home. Yeah. Thanks for dropping by, Shelly. No doubt about that. Yesterday was a big day for rushing. Benny Biceps, Hae-Sung Kim, and Alex Call, their first experience at winning the division. Who will pitch game 1? We don't know that, Shelly Lawrence. It looks like it's lining up for Shohei Ohtani, but that could change a million different times. Dodgers just need to fix the bullpen. They'll be good to go. That's Liam right there. Chris Fauber. You can never tell when a minor trade will yield big results. So, hey, that's all the time I got for you today. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a world of fun. Again, congratulations to the Dodgers for winning the NL West. Big accomplishment, but a lot more to go. So for all you Dodgers dogs out there, you are the absolute best. And as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.